Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. And Anthony Joshua, he's been getting ridiculed by a lot of people. There are a lot of people who've come out and been praising him. But there's one person in particular who's a former opponent of Anthony Joshua's. And this opponent actually gave Anthony Joshua his first defeat. Now, Anthony Joshua was able to come back and avenge that defeat and regain his titles. But this person in particular has kind of come to the forefront of boxing again because he is being blamed or being given the fault of ruining Anthony Joshua's career, killing Anthony Joshua's career, and discouraging Anthony Joshua from being aggressive. And Anthony Joshua's aggression is what garnered him so much success in his, I would say, short career, because it's not like he's been around for 10 years. But the thing is this, right? Andy Ruiz is a good guy. He's always talking about being a Christian, and sounds like he's really trying to live a good, clean life, trying to find his way back to the mountaintop and get his hands on those titles again, which probably will never happen. But he had the talent to do so, but he's not that same guy. But anyway, Andy Ruiz has gone on and has apologized for killing Anthony Joshua's career. And he said he just wanted to be champion, the first Mexican heavyweight champion, not a murderer. And because he considers what was happening with Anthony Joshua was definitely a result of him, and that he just totally killed that characteristic that Anthony Joshua possessed that gave him an advantage in the ring over his opponents. Now, the thing is this, right? We know AJ failed in his bid to avenge his loss to Usyk to regain the WBO, WBA, and IBF heavyweight titles from Usyk. And he was going to go on to win a couple other titles. That ring belt was one of them that he was going to win. But in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia this past weekend, that's just not something that panned out for Anthony Joshua. All the opportunities were there. He was afraid to pull the trigger. He was afraid to get hit. He doesn't want to overcommit because I'm telling you, I've said this in other videos, people are now, and look, who am I, right? I'm just this guy with my little fisherman hat, strictly business, EPMD, and I come up here and do videos, right? But they got people out here who are boxing analysts, ex-pro boxers. You got judges, you got promoters. You have people who have far more qualifications than a guy like me saying the same thing. Anthony Joshua can't pull the trigger anymore. And they're all timelining when this went into effect after the Andy Ruiz defeat. And as a result, Andy Ruiz feels a little bit bad because he went and said that he was watching him. He said he felt like Usyk was going to win the fight anyway. He said when it comes to Anthony Joshua, he's just looking stiff. And of course, he's going to be biased to, Andy Ruiz is going to be biased to Usyk because there's nothing wrong with it. Both men of Christ, it's what they say. And nothing wrong with it, okay? But he said Anthony Joshua, he was a guy who could put together good combinations. But you're not seeing that. You saw that in Usyk. Anthony Joshua was a guy who would come in very aggressive and throw extremely powerful shots. And you haven't really seen him do that. He's trying to be more of a boxer because he would rather use his reach and fight what some would say a smarter fight that would pose less risk of being hit. But Andrew Ruiz is even saying those weren't the strengths of Anthony Joshua. He's compromised all of his strengths to try to be something different because he's running from the defeat, that first defeat to Andy Ruiz, instead of confronting it head on and getting in there and mixing it up with someone and taking a hard shot and persevering through it and give that push to get back in the fight and put a hard shot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 on his opponent. And I agree with that. Andy Ruiz is spot on. That's the truth. Now, what Anthony Joshua did against Pulev, that's because Pulev didn't have anything for AJ to worry about in those later rounds. Pulev just didn't look right. And he even admitted that he wasn't in shape. It was a kind of a last minute thing. He just didn't feel right. And AJ did what he was supposed to do. You get him out the ring. And AJ lit him up. But when you look and see the kind of power that AJ has, and he's shown in all of his fights, right? The one fight in particular, 2 fights where he chose not to show that power was Andy Ruiz in the rematch and Usyk in the first fight and here in the second fight. He just does not want to get in there and get caught. He does not want to get hit. And if you're chinny, you're chinny. But at the same time, man, you lose your right to complain when you don't let your hands go. Okay? So AJ had the meltdown. It is what it is. But you lose your right to complain when you don't let your hands go. Now, you see somebody like Deontay Wilder get in the ring, fight to almost the death. There's nothing he can complain about. There's nothing else he could have done. There's more AJ could have done. Now, did he make adjustments? Yes, but there's more he could have done. But I'm telling you, the back of his mind is the little fat Mexican heavyweight who's probably, in my opinion, before all that crap with trying to lose weight, Andy Ruiz to me I consider him the best heavyweight out there. That's how vicious he was, but he's not the same. But he talked about looking at Anthony Joshua even during the training videos. I saw those videos. A lot of people were concerned about Anthony Joshua and the open media workouts. He looked slow. His punches didn't look tight. But to me, he was just going through the motions, staying loose. I didn't think much of it. I know when I'm in there shadow boxing, well, I don't do that crap really no more. But back in the day, working out and training hard, getting ready for a fight is one thing. But a couple of days before that, if you're just in there just free swinging, just, moving, I'm not in there tight and going all out. Like, I'm not doing that. You just relax and just going through the motions. You're just going through the motions, And that's what it looked like to me. But then again, I'm not a professional fighter. Andy Ruiz said he felt that Anthony Joshua's footwork was a little bit off. He felt that his punches didn't flow naturally. It wasn't anything instinctive. It looked more like overthinking, being too calculated. And this is just in shadow boxing. Now, I can't say Andy Ruiz is wrong because I'm not a professional boxer. These guys' eyes are more sharp than yours and I. They have an educated eye. My eye is not educated like that. Now, if we're watching some little sexy girls, some sexy women coming up and down the road, well, my eye qualifies. But for this, my eye doesn't qualify. All right? And trust me, my eye qualifies more than Andy Ruiz when it comes to them damn women. I don't care what nobody says. But Ruiz said he didn't like what he saw in the pre-fight stuff with AJ. And you gotta understand, when a guy like Ruiz talks, you gotta listen to him, because he floored Anthony Joshua 4 times and got him out of, I think, around the 7th round. And just with all the training and him watching Anthony Joshua and bringing in Robert Garcia, he just really feels like Robert Garcia equipped him with everything he needed to get a victory. But he said when he was watching the fight, he could just see what he understands why people are blaming him or faulting him for Anthony Joshua not being the same fighter. And, it is what it is. He said he was getting text messages and phone calls, and a lot of people want to interview him. And, they all suggest that his knockout win over Anthony Joshua just has been playing a part in Joshua's performances, and in particular, his defeat over this weekend. And It is what it is. Because AJ is just too cautious now, right? And that happens. I don't know how many of you out here have ever sparred or played football or played basketball. You know, when it's one thing, if you get hit hard in boxing, makes you think twice about letting your hands go. If you're playing football, you're a wide receiver, you're whatever position you're in, and you end up getting that ball in your hands, and you take off with it. It could be an interception, touchdown, you catch it, running back, whatever. You got the ball, and you get blindsided. Man, that shit will cause you to be kind of cautious too. If you're playing basketball, and knee coming up, you always say next shot, best shot. Keep shooting. If you're a shooter, you shoot. I tell my son that all the time. Keep shooting. He's a good basketball player. It's like, yo, man, next shot, best shot. And he doesn't get discouraged. But if you're a guy who's shooting and you're missing, come to a point, you'll come down and give the ball away. Because you lose your confidence, you become cautious, and you're worried. The same thing, man. It's all up here. But even if you have someone who's playing defense on you in basketball, and you're trying to, cross and drive, and the guy keeps stealing the ball from you, it messes with your mind, makes you not want to attack the basket. It's all mental, man. So it doesn't matter what sport it is. And that's what we're seeing in AJ, man. He's just cautious. It's mental. And, he just doesn't want to go out there and bang anymore, man. I think it just scares him, the whole thing of banging. And, a lot of fighters, and, can't fault AJ for this, what I'm about to say. There's a lot of fighters who just don't want to they fear getting hurt. They fear getting dropped. And, probably the most scary of them all is just fear getting knocked out, man. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to get knocked out. And we'll see how it goes with AJ. But Andy Ruiz, even he's made some changes. He didn't make any changes because he got hit hard or beat down or anything. I think Andy Ruiz is really concerned about his appearance and trying to look more aesthetic opposed to just being the beast he was, and now even Andy Ruiz is looking more cautious. Or I didn't like how he looked against Areola. That Andy Ruiz, I was like, who is this guy? So now you got him about to fight Luis Ortiz. And I think if Andy Ruiz hasn't figured out that the old Andy Ruiz is a monster and beats almost everybody, then Andy Ruiz is definitely going to lose, probably by knockout, to Luis Ortiz. Because Luis Ortiz can crack. He has an awkward style. And Chris Areola almost KO'd Andy Ruiz on a couple occasions in their fight. So if Chris Areola can do it, and he's not as technically sound as Luis Ortiz, Luis Ortiz can get the job done. So we're going to see, man. Hopefully AJ can shake off the what's haunting him, the Andy Ruiz ghost. Shake that off and return to his original form, because Anthony Joshua can hurt people. We've seen him do it his whole career. He has been hurt. He doesn't want to get hurt again. And I don't know if he'll ever be the same. Same thing kind of like what, we talked about this with Adrian Broner. The difference is Maidana didn't come out and apologize for how he affected Adrian Broner. Maidana and Broner are really close. And I think with Maidana, he knows Adrian Broner hurt him too. It's just, Broner is the one with the big mouth, and he was the one who was expected to win, and he had the bigger platform. So Maidana doesn't really, he's retired now, he doesn't care. But Andy Ruiz, I'm sure people have had this conversation with Maidana, but Maidana's in Argentina. Who knows what kind of interviews he does or doesn't do. He probably wouldn't say much. But Andy Ruiz is still an active fighter. Anthony Joshua is still a huge draw. He's out there and things are happening, and people are seeing that, hey, when we timetable this here, we timeline this and go take it back, we're kind of pinpointing where the changes happen. And you can definitely, fault Ruiz. So I don't know if I should commend Ruiz or what I should say, but he said, hey, man, I didn't want to be a murderer. I just wanted to win a belt and be the first Mexican heavyweight champion. And he apologizes because deep down, I think he's a good guy, and he sees what's happening, and I think part of him feels a little bad. And him being a guy who's dealt with being bullied, he's dealt with mental health issues as well. I think when he saw Anthony Joshua having that meltdown, I think Andrew Ruiz more felt sorry for him and wanted to try to help him. Not sure his comments helped, especially talking about didn't mean to kill his career. I didn't want to be a murderer, but I don't know. But we'll see what's gonna happen with AJ. I'm about to do another video. I'm tired, man. But I'm telling you guys, I'm gonna take my time and do this video right on why AJ Wilder is the fight to make, and how AJ and Wilder both can get back to being, still get to becoming an undisputed heavyweight champion. Because I'll just give you a little preview right now, right? When you think about Usyk and Fury, okay? Usyk and Fury, they fight. Let's say Fury emerges the winner, drops the belts, right? Which I doubt he will, but let's say he does. That can mess up a lot, because then everybody's gonna be fighting for these belts. But who brings the money? Who's the draw? Who brings the money? Who's gonna win those fights? Okay? AJ's gonna probably be fighting for something. Wilder's gonna be fighting for something. Maybe Luis Ortiz gets himself in the mix somehow. But when the dust settles after a few years, because Wilder says he's fighting to 40, right? After the dust settles in 3-4 years, who's going to have the belts? Wilder and AJ probably, maybe Ortiz, but it's going to end up being Wilder and AJ. Who else out there is really going to clip them? Joe Joyce is a monster, and you got Zhang, but I really think at this point in time, it really is, if Fury disappears, and who knows what Usyk going to end up doing. But I think Wilder and AJ are the two guys, man. I think we're going to see some stuff come full circle in the next few years. But I got to sit down and kind of map out how I feel that's going to happen, so I can intelligently speak on it. Right now, I'll just be talking on my backside, and I don't want to do that. But and I also want to canvass all the heavyweights right now, especially those up-and-comers, to see the kind of moves they're making, because there's some guys who are coming through the wickets, man, and they're on the cusp of getting a big fight, and they're making some noise. They got that kid, Big Baby, not Big Baby Miller, not Gerald Miller, the other Big Baby. That kid, he's got some power. He look a little bit slow, and sometimes he looks open, but he has what Anthony Joshua has lost. He has that aggression and belief in his power and size. But we'll see how it all plays out, man. Y'all keep cool. I'm going to go my ass to bed. I'm tired. I appreciate the support. Thanks for everyone who subscribed. We're getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. It's going to open up big time, man. And I promise to do something pretty interesting, entertaining, and make it worth your while if you're going to tune into the streaming and stuff like that. You guys keep cool, and as always, I'm in the breeze.